Eldar friends. Welcome to DeadofNight 40K. I've been hemming and hawing for a long time, and finally we're getting it done. Our first video. I'm an Eldar-based player for Warhammer 40K, and that's mostly what I'm going to be talking about, because that's mostly where my knowledge lies. I do like to play competitive, and that's kind of usually my mindset, but I also kind of dislike the meta usually, so I try to play competitive, but not so much meta if I can get away with it. Obviously, some units you're stuck with what you got. Um, I do want to pay homage with this video. It's my first one, so I want to pay homage to Proxy Hammer. I've done some work with him on his channel, and I've really enjoyed it. So now I'm trying to branch off on my own to some degree and kind of have some fun with this, really. Maybe get some insights from all of you. Hopefully I can provide mine. I've been playing Eldar since 3rd edition off and on over the years. I play competitively now, and I'm not anything to write home about, but I have that mindset, and I like to play with the toys that you like to play with. So let's figure it all out together. Without further ado, let's start digging into Proxy Hammer's competitive balanced list for Pariah Nexus. So this is going to be fun. I'm going to be able to pay homage and respect to my mans, and we get to chew up his list. Let's see what it's about. Oh, and here it is. It's like Christmas. It's just like Christmas. Where do we start? Proxy Hammer balanced competitive, 1995 points. I don't know, Proxy, you missing 5 points. We're just going to go top to bottom. We're going to see what he's got in here. And then we'll go from there. So he's got Flagon and the Solitaire as his epic heroes. Autarch Wayleaper. Fusion Gun, Banshee Mask, Gem. Always with the Gem. Death Jester, Farseer, Skyrunner to round out his characters. I feel like it's kind of stock so far. Some interesting choices though. Battle line, he's got a little 5-man of Void Reavers. He's got his 10-pack of Storm Guardians. He's always got a Storm Guardian. Like I don't think Proxy Hammer leaves home. Like I don't think he leaves his house without like some Storm Guardians in his wallet. I don't know. We'll get into that later. But anyways, 2 5-packs of Fire Dragons with pikes. Well, they don't have pikes here, but they do. I promise. He's got a 5-pack of Scorpions. Proxy likes to run the Biting Blade. 5-pack of Hawks. You just give them their Hawk's Talon and Power Sword. It's free. Warp Spiders, same thing. Double Spinner Power Blades. It's free. One Shroud Runner squad. Some Skyweavers. A little 2-pack of Skyweavers. They're still so strong even after their points increase. 9-pack of Shrieking Cannon Wind Riders, always very good. 2 Falcons and a Viper, also went down on points. The Viper. This list looks strikingly similar to what I've been running for Pariah Nexus, minus some few differences for sure. But I also am running a double Falcon base, double Dragon. My character's a little different though, but I think maybe, you know what I should do? I should have Proxy go over my list as well, since they're kind of similar. But that's what's so cool about Eldar lists. You can literally almost interchange units. They all have a job. What slot do you want that unit job to fill? Literally, you can kind of replace units with anything to fill a role. So like Swooping Hawks and Warp Spiders, they kind of have a similar role in scoring secondaries with their speed. Say you don't own Warp Spiders, okay, but you own 2 squads of Swooping Hawks. Well, maybe just run 2 squads of Swooping Hawks, you'll still be okay. You might have to use them slightly differently, but they kind of have the same result. So Proxy uses Flagon. I think he's pretty meta now. He's pretty standard. He is an absolute house. His Unquenchable Resolve is busted. I mean, roll a d6 on a 2-up, he gets back up from death. And the cool part of this is if he dies in melee, he respawns out of melee, which is actually clutch. I've had a game where that really mattered because he died in melee, respawned, and he's still on the point by himself, but he's out of melee. So next turn I was able to shoot with him and charge and, you know, finish up what he had to do. So that sometimes niche, but could be clutch. His melee is not really much to write home about, but it is 3 damage. It is AP 4. You know, we're hitting on 2s. So I mean, it'll kill some Terminators. Make your saves. Make your involves, you know. Not bad. Especially for Fire Dragons. Having, if he's with some Fire Dragons, which he usually is. Unless your list isn't running any at all. A lot of people run Flagon solo, which is also perfectly okay. I mean, 130 points for, in essence, a 10 wound model with a 2-up save and a 4-up invulnerable save with the beat stick. The Seer Song is amazing. Melt to 6. You get him half range. You can force the d6 as damage as a 6 with our strands dice, and he can just slap 12 damage out of nowhere and just pop a tank himself. The force multiplier he has with his, even just the 5-pack of dragons, is usually enough to take out take out a 5-pack of Terminators, a tank, a monster. You know, don't ever be scared of, oh, it's only strength 9, these Meltaguns that these Fire Dragons have, because a lot of transports are T9, so, like, it's fine, whatever. We get to reroll 1s against vehicles and monsters with our Fire Dragons, and our damage 1s, you know, so they can really slap together. So a lot of you have played Flagon. I feel like I don't need to talk to him about him too much. He's a very strong choice for us, especially for competitive play. 130 points, he will nuke a tank. He will nuke a monster. And when they try to nuke him back, he'll get up and nuke him again. He's one of our best funsies toys we have, I think, currently. He's definitely probably, I would rate him in our S tier of units for what you get out of him. It's undeniable, you know. And he's one of our few things with the Feel No Pain. Oh my goodness, he also has the Feel No Pain. How could I forget? I always forget because he's the only thing with Feel No Pain, I suppose. But on to the next one. We have a Solitaire. I've played Solitaire a few times in 10th edition. Solitaire is nuts. Solitaire is absolutely nuts. I like it a lot because it gives us that melee element that I feel like we usually are lacking. Like maybe we have 1 or 2 units on our list that can, you know, maybe do something at all in melee. Solitaire is a nice piece to do that for you as well. So she comes in 9 attacks. Once per battle, you give her an extra 3 attacks on her blitz. You get extra 2d6 inch move. So you're moving 2d6 plus 12 on your advance. And then you get to charge. And then you're also hitting on that charge for 12 attacks with precision. So if your list doesn't have precision in it, maybe the Solitaire is a good little torpedo to help you out with that. Also has Lone Op. There's a lot of things the Solitaire can do. But I feel like you also need to support the Solitaire. Don't let the Solitaire go off on their own and just go into combat by himself and just get toasted. Like, that's probably not the proper way to play the Solitaire. Maybe you can in a more Alpha Strikey list, but usually if you're going through with an Alpha Strike, there would be support for the Solitaire, or there'd be nothing left around it. If you like the kind of Harlequin vibe, Solitaire is a great epic character option. I tend to kind of stay away. I do like the melee, but it's hard when you're lone op. All they can really do is melee, you know. So where do you gain? What do you gain from the lone op aspect besides survivability? But at that point, you know, you're paying 115 points for another paperweight to get secondary. So you want to use a Solitaire, but I think it's just another one of those units you have to be patient with, and you have to hit the Solitaire where you need to. Like, don't forget that the threat range on it is absolutely obscene. I mean, on average, we'll say we'll get 6 inches out of the 2d6. That's pretty reasonable. So we're moving 18 and then charging. And we can, you know, fate dice a 6 on that charge. So the threat range can be exponential with the Solitaire. But what's interesting that Proxy's doing here is, so he has the Solitaire, but he's also running the Falcons. So if the Solitaire is in the boat, if the Falcon shoots at whatever the Solitaire is going at, the Solitaire can re-roll wound rolls against that unit, which kind of is good with the 12 attacks, you know, on that first charge with him. So there's some synergies there. Solitaire solo on foot, I mean, or in the Falcon, I don't know which one would be better. Maybe it'd kind of be depending. I guess in the Falcon might be better because you will get that wound reroll, but the Solitaire will also be with a supporting unit, which in Proxy's case, I would assume he's just putting his dragons in the Falcons. Maybe a Void Reaver to get... I don't know. I really don't know what he's using these Void Reavers for. We'll get to them. Autarch Wayleaper, Phoenix Gem, standalone unit, S tier unit, I would say. I mean, everybody plays the Wayleaper. The Phoenix Gem is probably the biggest debate, you know. But I feel like if you're running Flagon especially, and you're not running Avatar, you absolutely take the Phoenix Gem with the Wayleapers. So then you have 2 units that can come back from death. I think that's a good look. Wayleaper, another unit you got to be really patient with and save. I mean, like, it gives you two command points a turn. You want them throughout the entire game. Eldar eat command points, you know. So in any list, you need an Autarch. Autarch in any form, you need that extra CP. We're Eldar, that's how we cheat. Let's get away with it, you know. Let's get our extra CP every turn for free. Let's run an Autarch. You have to run an Autarch. Kind of goes into one of my rules. It's like you don't leave home without your Farseer, and you don't leave home without your Autarch. Proxy Hammer knows this. So, why do we not leave home without our Farseer? Well, there's the two variations of Farseer we can run is the Skyrunner and the one on foot. The one on foot is more for like Avatar lists to help protect the Avatar or your big Death Star units. The Skyrunner is more for guiding, which he's probably trying to guide these Wind Riders. Skyrunner's Farseer's probably with the Wind Riders, even better. So he has protection, and he can draw things like ignore cover if he would have had a Warlock, but he doesn't. Weirdo. Maybe we'll have to fix that. We'll fix that one, Proxy. Maybe we'll get rid of these silly Storm Guardians. Anyways, you have to have a Farseer. Mostly for the Branching Fates ability. We need to always have this in our list. It turns our Fate dice into a 6. If we rolled a 1 on our Fate roll, we turn into a 6. Any model that's within 12 inches of the Farseer. And you can do this every single turn you can do this. So if we don't have one of these, our Fate dice could potentially just be garbage and with no way to change them or do anything about it. So, like, what are you going to do with your 1 on your, you know, 2 2s, a 3, a 4, and a 5? And a 1 6, you know? Like, what are those 2s going to do throughout the game if you don't have a Farseer? I like to use his Branching Fates as early as possible because once you get to later game, it's a little hard to dictate where, you know, having your Farseer within that 12 inches of that unit. So sometimes the Farseer has to go off and do other things, like get chased down by wolf packs or whatever. I don't know why that happened to me, but, you know, what are you going to do? Little wolf's gnawing at your Farseer, and he can't make it up the board to get his Branching Fates effective. Silly, I know, but here we are. but always have your Branching Fates Farseer with you. In Proxy's list, he's using him mainly with these Wind Riders, I would assume, um, because sometimes the Wind Riders, they their Swift Demise, sometimes their self guide doesn't hit. We also got a fact recently where they have to abide to both things to get their self guide. So Farseer gives them guaranteed guide almost every single time, which is what you want with a Death Star Wind Rider unit. It's a lot of points to invest between them, the Farseer. If you run a Warlock, you should. Um, the Warlock helps it so the Warlock Skyrunner adds another body to the unit, but also um, makes it so they could either be hard to hit from shooting, or they can ignore cover, which is really huge in Pariah Nexus. All the maps are way more dense now. Um, it's definitely a lot to look at, and you know, I think ignore cover is huge. Proxy has it with the Viper here, but it's only one instance. It's not attached to the Wind Riders. And what if the Viper just like blows up turn one? Then you just don't have it at all. And I feel like if you're going to run the Death Star Wind Rider unit, you absolutely need to have that just built in. Like, we're already building in the guide. Why not spend that extra little points? I'm just nitpicking, Proxy. Don't be too upset. I can't wait for him to tear up my list. Anyways, he's also running the Death Jester with Fate's Messenger. The only way to run it is with Fate's Messenger. Oops, we're not trying to make two of them. We're trying to look at him. So, Death Jester is a very great tool. He gives you potentially another instance of precision, ignore cover, and sustain 3. So you can pick one of these a turn. Generally, 9 times out of 10, you take sustain 3. And his 3 shots generally turns into at least 6. I'd say generally for me, I always get at least 9 out of him. With because you have the Fate's Messenger, so you could turn one of those hit rolls into sustain 3 for free. So that on top of a Fate dice, you're getting at least 8 shots with him a turn, usually. And then if you're just rolling natural 6s on top of it, even better. It's not unheard of to get 12 shots out of this man every turn. So keep that in mind. He's also another lone op, so Proxy's third lone op in this list, which I think is also kind of huge for Pariah Nexus. I think you're safe getting away with just the Wayleaper, but at the same time, having at least probably 2 lone ops isn't a terrible thing right now. There's a lot of cover so they can hide, and there's a lot of MSU out there, so the MSU will kind of tighten the windows on your characters because there's so much more stuff on the board. So having that extra lone op, I think is gonna. In Proxy's case, he's got 3. I think that's gonna be huge. So what's so cool about the Death Jester? Also in that MSU sort of style play, he does 2 damage with his dev wounds, and he just can eat units. I will say, don't fall into this mistake I made. Death Jester's only in your shooting phase. He gets this ability. So if you're overwatching with him, you don't get his sustain hits 3. You don't get any of this, which makes his Overwatch kind of garbage because you get 3 shots, whatever. So definitely be careful with that. Don't make that mistake like I did. Overall, though, for 105 points, he makes up his points every single game. Every single game. Probably why Proxy's running him. Alright, let's continue. Let's go on to these Void Reavers. Again, I'm not really sure what his play is here. I know they're cheap. Their cheap battle line unit probably is the play. And maybe, like, they do Scout. We do Scout, and maybe they're just like we're just going to throw some Void Reavers into Strat Reserve, and they'll show up later and maybe score me some points or get in the way of something. As a little 5-pack, you know, they're gonna do what they do. It's not They're not gonna be great at anything, but they're gonna be there to get in the way. But I feel like at that point, maybe just run more scorpions. Um, I feel like scorpions are pretty effective in melee, and it gives us a other melee element that we lack. Especially with their dev wounds from their mana blasters. Um, Pariah Nexus has a lot of battle line unit things to do, like doing things like raise banners is a thing again. Um, Score different ways on secondary, like better ways to score secondaries or primaries. A lot of things do involve battle line. I think Games Workshop is just trying to have battle line units more involved in the game again. I feel like they're always sad when battle line units just don't exist in our metas, so they try to make them there. But proxy, they're probably gonna get away when I start hacking this list. We're gonna get rid of these Void Weavers. I don't know. You can use them though. I wish Corsairs were sick. I think they can be, but not in just like a solo 5-pack. If that makes sense. Storm Guardians. Oh my god. I don't even know where to begin. I know why they're good. They have the sticky objective thing. They have a couple fusion guns in there. Ooh, no, we're definitely not duplicating them. They have a 5-up invul. Okay, so they got a little 5-up invul. T3. I don't even think they have their stats on here because they're so bad. Yeah, weird. Oh, there it is. T3, 4-up, 5-up. They're sick with the Yvrain bomb. They just jacked up Yvrain's points, though. Um, as solo Storm Guardians, how Proxy has them, they're not even. One of my friends calls units like this who just don't have anything with them, like these Corsairs or Storm Guardians. He calls them nudie pants units because they just don't have nothing. They're just there. They don't like no upgrades, no nothing. They're just there to do things. Um, but Storm Guardians, I see them like hold home objective on foot. I'm talking hold home objective, push off, sticky the home. I don't know. Yeah, maybe just run around sticky a side objective in the home one and screen. So our battle line units, like we want them to do things for Pariah Nexus, but at the same time they're so ungodly weak. Like at the end of the day, are we just wasting points there? That's kind of my mindset on it. Like they're just so weak. Obviously, Storm Guards with Yvrain, the Vice Arc, and the whole bomb, not as weak. They get to resurrect themselves. They get to feel no pain. They're just a pain to deal with. But solo dolo, I can't do it. I'd rather spend another 25 points and have more warp spiders or something like that. Give me the warp spiders. But I will always give you the benefit of the doubt for Storm Guardians proxy. I think Proxy Hammer. This thought came to my mind. I think Proxy Hammer, when he was a young Eldar, he actually was a Storm Guardian before he became a Farseer. The Farseer that he is now. His roots, he was a Storm Guardian. It all makes sense now. Interesting. Alright. On to the Fire Dragons. These bad boys are ruthless. I have so much fun with them with the Falcons. I've been playing and exploring them out of the Falcon more and more. And I feel like each game I just get more and more impressed by them. I usually run Flagon with a 5-pack and a Falcon, and then the other 5-pack I've been putting in Strategic Reserve, which has been super interesting because on turn 2, usually my Falcon that the Fire Dragon's in will get to where it needs to be by turn 2 to shoot something. At that same time, I pop out this other 5-pack of Fire Dragons from Strategic Reserve. Next thing you know, opponent's dealing with 3 Fire Pikes in their face a falcon and a bunch of dragons. Like, and then they just nuke whatever they're at. Usually in some tiny corner of the board, but they just get it done. Um, I feel like I've been successful with that move a lot lately, so maybe try that one out. Put one 5 pack in strat reserve, have the other one, let them meet in the middle somewhere, or meet on the edge of the board somewhere, and just nuke something. Another move I've done kind of in line with that is like you bring up warp spiders too to support them if you need a little bit more of a punch. Just to get them dev wounds in there as well, just to finish off what maybe the fire dragons couldn't. Especially if the fire dragons maybe they hit a tank or a hive tyrant or something huge, they get it down to like 2 or 3 wounds. What do you do then? You're just sad. You are just so sad. But our janitor friends, they always show up and get the job done. Our janitor warp spiders. So maybe try that trick out if you're rocking fire dragons. They're really good. Against monsters and vehicles, reroll wound rolls of 1 and damage rolls of 1. That is absolutely huge. Anytime you can reroll a wound roll for anything, it is absolutely huge. Especially in the fire dragon's case, because usually they're hitting up with their strength 9, so they're gonna be wounding on 5s a bunch usually, which doesn't feel good half the time. But when you get that damage in, when you do get those 5s, or you fate dice one in, we still have AP4 at the end of the day. We don't really need necessarily any ignore cover moves here because of that high AP. If we do ignore cover and we have that high AP, an opponent, say you're shooting against an Eldar tank, for example, 3-up save, no invul save. Say you're shooting a Falcon, no invul save. So AP4 just goes right through, you're just going straight to damage. Do not pass go. Take your Melta 3, which is half range, would be 6 for the fusion gun. But take your D6 plus 3 damage. Take it. Take it all with that AP4. It's gross. But since it's AP4, you don't necessarily need any sort of Viper play into it or anything like that. It just gets it done itself. Roll that in ball. Fire Pike, just a souped up version of the fusion gun. Sometimes if I have these guys just straight up on foot, I will sacrifice the fire pike because the fusion gun has assault. So then you can move and advance your fire dragon unit and have full effect shooting. That kind of increases their threat range a bunch because they move 7 already. Say we auto advance 6 with the strands dice, you're moving 13, and then you have range 12. That's 25-inch range of multi-gun boys. That's 25-inch threat range, excuse me, and that's huge. That when you're on a table that's so condensed, especially infantry can just kind of walk through buildings like they don't exist, so they can just all of a sudden end up in the middle of the board and nuke something. I think there could be play like that with 10 packs of dragons, but that's a lot of points for how squishy they are. A complete unit that, oh boy, you better realize they are wherever you send them, if you don't kill it, they are gonna die. Most like all of our units. Fire dragons, they're no different. Especially since they have to be so close. Straight glass cannon unit, but we love them. Striking scorpions. So Proxy Hammer kind of went for this like cool thing where a lot of players do this, I see. Like, they'll go, okay, instead of spamming spiders or hawks or scorpions, since points kind of went up on everybody, we're just going to flush it out with our set 3 units that can do secondaries for us here. Our 3 little tech units. They do different things, kind of. But he's got the whole slew of them, so they all do different things. It in turn makes it a giant toolbox. So, for example, the scorpions, these fellas can infiltrate. They infiltrate, move, block. And I can't emphasize how huge that is. When you're playing games, take defender, deploy first, put your scorpions out there, get them in the way. Deploy your scorpions first, always. Especially if opponent also has infiltrate units. Get them out there, get them in the way, spread them out, move, block. what's cool is even if you go first, you can move the scorpions up more. Move them up more to move block, have an even more improved move block on your opponent's turn one. So they can't might not necessarily be able to get out of their deployment zone at all, just because these 5 little scorpions are hanging out and just being a nuisance. Um, expect them to die in that role completely, but opponent will be able to move through them, which is cool. Especially those silly space marines. It's so funny when you move block a land raider with a little 5 pack of scorpions. Anywho, they also have dev wounds in melee. They went down 10 points recently. Um, I think they're one of our units, honestly, that they are almost an auto include, at least a one of. Um, I've been running 3x5, and it's been fantastic. Um, there's obviously the case to run Rangers maybe instead, but having these dev wounds on them, it hits a lot harder than you would think. Especially if an opponent just happens to leave the Scorpions alone. If they come up and just get supported by any of your other units, I like to support the Scorpions with Warp Spiders, because then you're looking at like a double dev wound sort of fiasco, and they can hit a lot higher than what it would seem sometimes. So, like, say you have uh, 2 squads, 2 5 packs, and a 5 pack of Warp Spiders. 2 5 packs of Scorpions go close combat with 5 pack of Terminators after they get shot up by some spiders. You're probably going to kill that 5 pack of Terminators with just 2 squads of Scorpions and a squad of spiders. But that's kind of how Eldar need to kill anyways to begin with, is we need to use these units in unison to kill stuff. And that's how these guys can be effective. They're best when they work together. All of our aspect warriors, really, they are the best when they work together. And that's like rule number what was it, like rule number 4, I think, is always have faith in your aspect warriors. Rule 1 is don't leave home without the Farseer. Rule 4, always have faith in your aspect warriors. They get the job done. I couldn't tell you how many times, like, oh, all the Scorpions are dead except my Exarch. Well, there he is, scoring points, killing something random, staying alive, just getting the job done. It's so epic, always. Aspect warriors get it done. Anyways, onto the shrouds. So shrouds are a key cog to your big block of Wind Riders. They are essential. Um, I almost want to say if you're running the big block of Wind Riders, maybe even consider 2 squads of shrouds. But if you could get 2 activations off of the shrouds target acquisition and make it so your whole army has lethal hits shooting at whatever unit you target. If you get 2 of those off per shroud runner squad a game, I feel like that's more than you can ask for at the end of the day. Obviously, you want to get it done at least once, but if you can get it done twice with 1 unit and get 2 activations for these Wind Riders, you're nuking stuff. And it makes it so these Wind Riders have this ability to shoot at things that aren't necessarily the best capable things they should be shooting at. Um, they should be shooting at, uh, infantry and maybe light armor. But when they have lethal hits, you could sit there with guide from your Farseer, and you're just re-rolling all your hit rolls. So you're fishing for your 6s, and you're re-rolling all your hits, fishing for your 6s, and hopefully stripping cover so your AP1 gets in there. And you're using this huge kind of combo to make your Wind Riders just absolutely bonkers with their shooting. Um, when you look at an opponent, you're like, hey, opponent, can you make, I don't know, 22 saves? To make 22 saves, AP1, 2 damage apiece? Even on tanks sometimes, the sustain hits with the lethal hits, it just gets so nutty that like it's kind of gets hard to roll those dice too. You're rolling 27 dice, you're twice to hit, picking out the 6s, picking out the misses, blah blah blah. But It's super effective shooting when all the pieces align. Kind of in the same token, you need to protect those pieces to some degree. You need to protect your Shroud Runners and your Viper in this list, to kind of keep those guys banging every single turn. Keep them shooting those Shrieking Cannons. Um, the Shrieking Cannon is one of our best weapons in our arsenal. Arguably, our even more so now with Pariah Nexus. The meta seems like it's shifting more towards infantry based. This is probably our best infantry killing weapon in mass. Uh, so definitely consider the Wind Riders as well. They fire and fade them. That big squad. You shoot something to death, then you hide them again. They're just such a terror to deal with. But in the same token, if opponent does get the chance to shoot at them, they will just fold. They got 2 wounds apiece, 3 up save, T4. T4 is not terrible, but at the end of the day, they just get picked up. And when you watch your whole Wind Rider squad get picked up, because that's happened to me for sure. I'm sure it's happened to some of you out there too. When that whole Wind Rider squad gets picked up, it's a real feel bad moment. But there's ways to protect them. The Skyweaver squad, they went up in points recently. I think the 1X is probably about perfect, honestly. If you're running 1X of these guys, you will not regret it. They're another unit that they make up for their points really fast and easy. They also absolutely house tanks. They have anti-vehicle 4 up on their main weapon. Where is it? It's hiding in here somewhere. Oh, I see. We're going to put them on there. Yeah, the Skyweaver Haywire Cannon. So this thing, 2 attacks, range 24. We're hitting on 3s, which is cool. 3s, whatever. AP 1, whatever. Damage 3. This is what we need, right? Anti-vehicle 4 up. Dev wounds. So these 2 little shots turn into 6 damage a lot. A lot. And you got 2 of these guys in your squad. So you got 4 shots of that. It usually averages to 9 dev wounds per volley, I'd say. You're definitely getting 6. But when you go up to a tank and you're like, oh yeah, here's 12 damage devs. Boom, see ya. For 105 points, forget about it. They make up for their points every single time. I usually like to take them kind of in their more melee role, as opposed to having the Star Bolas. Because, like I said earlier, having that extra melee element is always super nice. You'll get your AP in, they're 2 damage apiece, and you'll have 8 attacks out of the squad, which is sick. So 8 more 2 damage attacks, as opposed to the Star Bolas, which you can D3 attacks. I always roll 1s, so I'll only get 1 attack, because I'm DeadofNight. You guys might get 3, because you're lucky. But, Strength 7, AP2, 2 damage. Not bad. But I kind of want that melee element. I'll get the guaranteed 4 attacks. Maybe they won't be in close combat every turn, but having that available to maybe support your fire dragons or your scorpions that are already doing things, maybe that's cool there. I kind of like the melee. Give me that every time. And they're Harlequins. Like, Harlequins need to be in melee. Kind of finishing off the list with the Falcons and the Viper. Like, the Falcons, they're super weak defensively. They have some sick shooting output, more laser beams, you know. Who doesn't want a boat with 4 laser beams, right? You get 3 out of the Pulse, you get 1 out of the Bright Lance. They're all D6 damage. Pulse laser's a little weaker, obviously, but in essence, when you have Fire Dragons in this Falcon, when you have Fire Dragons up in the Falcon, then you have 3 more Melta shots, kind of? Crazy. So, 4 laser beams, you know, you're getting 5 or 6 Melta shots. Like, you're blowing something up with that unit with between the Falcon and the Dragons. It's a little pricey, but the output is there. The Falcon deep strikes as well, which makes it one of the most super interesting tanks in the game, I feel, because it's a transport that deep strikes and it just has guns on it. But realize that Falcon blow up. Turn one, you need to keep it as safe as you can. Um, but that being said, you also do need to get them up the board. You know, they get in the way. They're one of our tougher bodies, especially in this list. Proxy doesn't really have much armor besides the Falcons and the Viper. Everything else is kind of weak. Everything else you're looking at T3 and shenanigans. Uh, but the Falcons are super fun. They're super toolboxy because you can stuff scorpions. That's how I like to run one of mine. Is I stuff Karandras and scorpions in one of them, and they hit super hard. You know, so I have a melee falcon and a fire dragon falcon. So like I said, I put my other fire dragon squad in strat reserve, so that frees up falcon space. There's so many cool things you do with falcons. Like if you want to run dark reapers, um, you could start the game with the Dark Reapers in the Falcon, and turn one, they jump out. Whatever other unit you want to advance up the board jumps in, then the Falcon moves, shoots something, and whatever the Falcon is shooting at, that in turn will make it so your Dark Reapers can reroll their wound rolls against it. And they're just at home. They're just sitting at home still, which is kind of cool. Um, Rerolling wound rolls on the Tempest Launcher, on that indirect, neato. It's definitely not going to kill everything, but it's a nifty little trick to just kind of get more rerolls. Your Dark Reaper is going to be hitting on threes regardless because they don't care. So there you go. Viper, I feel like almost we need to run at least two in every list these days. They're so cheap now. It's probably, I think it is like the cheapest like Brightlance platform Craft Worlds has now. Just 75 points to get a BL, and you're off to the races. All right, let's. I'm gonna move next to some changes I would make with Proxy's list, and then I think we'll wrap it up. So let's take a gander at things that I might change here. Um, I'll try to keep it to like Proxy's list, but changes I would make to run this list maybe a little more efficiently or better. Not everybody has to agree with it. These are just my thoughts. Maybe my thoughts will help you in your list. First things first, yeah, let's get rid of these Void Weavers. And Proxy, I'm going to do this to you too. Sorry. You knew it was coming though. Bye-bye, Storm Guardians. I think running at least 2 Warp Spiders. I run the 3, but I feel like if you're running the solo spider, you might as well just run double hawk at that point because you'll save points, and they'll kind of do the same thing. Yeah, so we'll have that extra spider in there. Still got some points to play with. We do need this warlock. This warlock is definitely needed for our Wind Rider squad. Like I know the anti-ignore cover ability is huge, but say you're shooting at something with a Viper anyways, you could also maybe just use conceal and protect your unit a little better and not have to spend that CP on being hard to hit. So you can save your CP and then they just have it innately with conceal. They gain stealth. So that's cool. But having that ignore cover just in there until the unit's dead, yup, every time. Singing Spear, obviously. Singing Spear slaps. If you make fun of it, we're gonna have problems. The no AP. I know. The no AP really sucks, but when they miss their saves and they're taking 3 damage off the spear, it feels good every single time. Every single time. And it makes it so the spear, I mean, it's got strength 9, so you can throw it at transports all day long. That puts us at 2005. Interesting. Alright, what else? I like the shrouds. I think we can get away with the one shroud runner here. See, well, if we're going with the spider, I almost... Let's see, another scorpion. What's so cool about lists these days is you can literally, like I've been saying, just kind of interchange things and put what you like in there and still be effective once you learn how to use it. We have so many units to our disposal and that do so many different things that once you figure out the toolbox that you like you can use it in just about any game. You just gotta master how to use those particular units. Once you do that, once you stop making those mistakes with your units, they become so much more effective, and you'll be surprised the mileage you can get out of them sometimes. I think maybe we'll take out the Solitaire here. Let's take out the Solitaire. I really want to kind of add another Skyweaver. So, Proxy has a decent amount of anti-tank, but maybe maybe we'll go up another Skyweaver. And we gotta take out 60. I guess we get rid of that Scorpion again. So we went up a Skyweaver. So this gives Proxy more melee. So he had melee with us with the Solitaire, but this doesn't fully take away that melee element, but gives him more anti-tank. So the Falcon, the Viper, like the Bright Lances are anti-tank, obviously, but Skyweavers are straight up anti-tank. They anti-tank, anti-vehicle 4. They go crush vehicles. So when they're crushing vehicles like that, that makes it so our Bright Lances can shoot at other things. Like a big Chaos Demon, Be'lakor. Be'lakor needs to eat the Bright Lance shots. Be'lakor can't eat the Skyweaver shots, so like let's throw all of our Bright Lances at him. We'll pop rhinos or whatever we gotta do with the Skyweavers. Um, that being said, sometimes 2 is too much, maybe, but interesting choice. It gives us that anti-tank. Like I said, Fire Dragons could go kind of kill Terminator equivalent units like they're supposed to. Our Wind Riders can shoot things that they're supposed to, and we just sit here and hang out. So I'm thinking maybe those are the changes we make. Some slight changes, um, but I think it'll overall make the list more effective. It's hard to make changes against somebody's list that's played the game, played Eldar a long time. I will say that much. So I do applaud your list, Proxy. I've had a fantastic time going through it, picking it apart, changing some things here and there. Um, I do hope you go over my list. I'm gonna have my goals. Proxy is gonna go over my list because it's so similar, and I want him to pick it apart too. Then maybe we'll talk about them both together. I think that'll be neat. Um, that being said, I do want to thank everybody for checking out this first video. I know the quality's not the best. You know, I'm just starting out. I wanted to get going. I want to start doing it. See if I even like doing this. I don't know. I'm sitting here talking to myself about a nerd game that we all play. That's what it feels like to me. Maybe your comments will help me out. But until then, I do want to appreciate the entire. I do want to thank the entire Eldar community, Proxy Hammer, everybody in my local club that I play with. All of you guys really like make me passionate about this game, passionate about Eldar, and honestly, it's like a amazing like mental health thing for myself, and I'm sure it does the hobby does a lot of that sort of stuff for all of you too. So keep painting, keep playing. Keep playing. Oh my god, just playing the game this day and age and getting human interaction is amazing. Like, let's play more Warhammer. Let's play more Warhammer. Let's hang out. Let's see each other in person. It's great. Let's ease our mind. Let's do some painting. Let's build some stuff. Let's be creative. It's great. It's all great. Let's get our children into things like this. Why can't they be creative? They don't necessarily do things like this this day and age, so anytime I see a young kid playing Warhammer, I do my best to get them hype about it, because they are the future of this game that we love so much. And let's keep it going. Thanks for listening. Please put your list in the comments. I want to check it out. Check out the other Eldar YouTubers. Check out Proxy Hammer's stuff. Check out Craftworld Eldar. That man Brent, he's a amazing human, an amazing Craftworlds player, um, and his content is fantastic always. So check out these guys for sure. You know, come be a part of the Eldar community with us. If you guys have any questions for me, I want to see your list too. I want to make videos of your list. I want to pick apart your list too. So hit me up. Let's see what we could do together. This has been super fun, and until next time, I'll see you then.